Let me ask you a question, my half-awake classmates. How does capitalism shape our way of life? As a start, let's pull up the textbook definition of capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system in which individuals of society own and control in accord with their own interests, and they dictate supply and demand, which in turn sets the prices of goods and services. For example, I wanted some hand wraps the other day for boxing gear. Boxing is something that I've been interested in trying out, and one of the most popular brands that manufacture gear is Everlast. Everlast has been making all kinds of fighting equipment since 1910 and has been the leading manufacturer ever since. When I bought their hand wraps and put them on, I immediately felt the difference from my old Century brand hand wraps. They're somewhat silky, but they're strong and flexible, which not only makes them very comfortable, but makes me feel a lot better when I'm practicing jabs and lead hooks or whatever. This is capitalism in a nutshell from a consumer's standpoint. I wanted something, or in a sense demanded something. I went out to a supplier, Target, and I bought the thing that I wanted from a brand that creates quality products because they cared a lot about what they do. And in turn, I supported the economy. Now moving on to another thing that I found interesting is that capitalism carries with itself a sort of resume that an employer, say the USA, would review. Let's take a look here. So you can encourage others to pursue their individual interests, okay? Their inventiveness and their innovativeness while also supporting the economy. That's pretty nice. Promote private ownership, okay. Competitive marketplaces with quality products at low prices. That's good. I already like you. You're hired. It's important to state here that the USA has what we call a mixed economy, where you have both capitalism and socialism. Socialism says that properties and natural resources are owned by the community rather than individuals. Back to our job interview. So the USA hired capitalism, yay, but any good employer would have asked, what are your weaknesses? And capitalism would have had to respond, well, I'm prone to cause large inequalities between the social classes. My market is also at a greater risk of failure. Big enough businesses can exploit the working class if they become monopolies, and I cause excess materialism, and I also harm the environment. Oh, okay, I guess. And so capitalism becomes an associate at America Incorporated, making the rich rich and the poor poor, and causing massive amounts of environmental damage in the pursuit of gaining maximum efficiency or profit, just to name a few. Capitalism was soon to be joined by two governmental policies, and they were named fiscal and monetary policy. These two came by during the Great Depression that started in 1929 and lasted until 1933. It was kicked off by the stock market crash in 1929, which in turn set many investors up in economic ruin. America did not like this, so fiscal policy stepped in to help the economy. The economy at the time was rarely intervened by government control. This was called classical economics and commonly associated with the mind of Adam Smith. In contrast, fiscal policy called for government action to spend money to stimulate the economy. An example of this would be Roosevelt's New Deal agencies such as the Tennessee Valley Agency or TVA. It called for the construction of dams that not only controlled flooding but also produced hydroelectric power. A more recent example would be the Economic Stimulus Act of 2008, where the government spent $152 billion in tax cuts for people based on their marital status and their dependents. Fiscal policy would also be expanded upon by John Maynard Keynes, whose greatest addition to fiscal policy was to spend money while the economy was in a recession. The government would do this to aid consumers in consuming goods and services, which would help to increase demand, thus stimulating the economy. Monetary policy would come around the same time as fiscal policy. An economist named Milton Friedman believed that a massive drop in the money supply is what caused the Great Depression. So a solution was to have the Federal Reserve increase or decrease money in circulation and control the interest rates. This increased involvement of the Federal Reserve in the economy will later be known as monetarism. So how does this shape your way of life? You are always incentivized to stimulate the economy through how you consume things and make money, as that is the fuel that keeps it going. To dive deeper into this, I like to bring up two things: the consumer and the worker. The consumer is the person who, consumes goods and services. They have the special role of determining the demand and supply and demand, as they'll only buy things if they want them or need them. Another idea to keep in mind is how consumers will usually only buy things if the quality matches the price to their satisfaction. Stores like Target that want to keep consumers in their stores will strategically place products to maximize foot traffic around the store to cause you to buy more things. And when consumers fall into this trap, you keep shopping at that Target rather than their competitors like Walmart. This causes healthy competition, creates the need for incentives to draw you into their stores, and that in turn helps out the economy. But how do you get money to go shopping? I have to become a worker. The worker's job is to supply the goods and services at the quality that the consumers expect. And how do the workers become workers? Through human capital. Workers must be qualified, educated, certified, or maybe even licensed, experienced, skilled, responsible, respectable, positive, and have a good network of people. As a worker, I'm able to satisfy my wants and needs through monetary means. In a sense, I am incentivized to become a worker because it would help in my satisfaction and sustainability in my own life. So far in this video, we talked about capitalism itself, government policies, and incentives. The final topic that helps to answer the question of how capitalism shapes our way of life is currency. Currency is the fundamental element of economics, and it comes in three forms: bartering, money, and credit. Bartering is the basic form of the three, and it's the trading of two things that come at equal value. Say I trade you this apple for your orange. However, this comes with a caveat that the meaning of value is not universal. It becomes very difficult to store valuable things in mass quantities. Money helps to alleviate this by creating a medium of exchange such as paper bills and coins that have a standardized value and are easier to store. However, you can still run into issues if you have to make massive purchases like a house or a car and you have only a limited amount of money. Credit fixes that issue. It's a promise you make to the seller to pay off the debt at a certain date with interest. You ultimately pay more, but you have what you want the moment your credit is set. Capitalism needs all of these types of currencies because they deal with value and wealth. If we did not have anything of value, then we would not be able to accumulate wealth, with which negates the entire concept of economics itself. We live in a very busy lifestyle with capitalism. We're constantly working and worrying about our wants and needs in comparison to our wealth and how much we can afford. We worry about the money in our bank accounts and our taxes owed to the government. We worry about our qualities as a person and constantly compare ourselves to other people that seem to be better than us because they hold more wealth than us. Currency gives a medium for that comparison, and that is the need for our capitalist ideas in our economy. It creates competition, which in turn creates innovations. We need government policies to make sure that when our market fails, we can recover and make sure that the rough times pass by quickly and we are protected from them happening. In order to do that, we are, as a society, incentivized to actively participate in our economy by becoming the workers and the consumers. We all play a part in this by living out our own individual lives, and capitalism shaped it.